Hey guys, this is Kinsey with Atomic Crochet and welcome. Today I'm going to be showing you how to make the axolotl in a bucket. It's no-sew. So first we will go over the little axolotl part, so cute, and then we'll show how to do the bucket. For your supplies, you can use really any yarn you would like. I have here just a couple different ones. So this one is Parfait Chunky, and this one is as well, except this is for some reason the really rough Parfait Chunky because I didn't have any more gray, so that's why they kind of look a lot different. But I used 8mm eyes for this one and 6mm eyes for this one just to see the difference. And then also, if you'd rather do something like bigger with blanket yarn, this is Premier Basics Brights, which is like their blanket yarn. And as you can see, ended up using a 5mm hook and 16mm kawaii style eyes. Little bucket, so you can kind of see the size difference here. But yeah, let's get started. So first of all, I'm going to go ahead and show you the yarn that I'm using. It's going to be Parfait Chunky and Ballet Pink, Hibiscus, and Seal. You're also going to need 2 stitch markers, a pair of scissors, a darning needle, a hook, and your stuffing. So first we're going to start with the tail because this is going to be crocheted into the body. I'm going to be using the chain 2 method, which is where you chain 2 and then you work your first round into the first chain. You can do a magic ring. I just find it really hard with Parfait Chunky. Alright, so now we are going to fold this and single crochet closed. Do not stuff your tail. Moving on to the body. So in this round, we're going to be crocheting the legs. So here we are, we're going to work our first leg here. We're going to chain 2. And then in this second chain from my hook, we're going to make our bulky bobble stitch. There should be 5 loops on your hook when you finish. Alright, there we go, and then we're going to do one last and pull through. And then we are going to continue on the body. And then it's time to make our next leg. So chain 2 and then our bulky bobble. And when you complete your bobbles, make sure to push them towards you, outwards, so it creates the little legs. Now continuing on the body, we're gonna 4 single crochet. And now we're gonna get our tail, and we wanna make sure that it's gonna be centered on the back of the body. So just double check that you are right in the center, and if you need to add or remove a single crochet, do that. I'm going to put my tail right here, and I'm going to make sure to go through my tail first, both sides of it, and then through the body, pull through both, and complete my single crochet. And you're going to do that 4 times to attach your tail. Make sure you put your loose yarn tail into the body so that way it's not hanging out. Alright, and now we want to just double check again that the tail is centered in between the 2 legs so that it's perfectly centered in the back of the body. Alright, so in this round we're going to make our arms. So first we're going to do 2 single crochet, And then we are going to create our arm here. So we're going to chain 3. And then in the second hook, or second chain from hook, we're going to make our bulky bobble. And again, we're going to make sure to push that bubble towards us so the arm's sticking out. Complete that. And then we are going to do a single crochet in the last chain. And now we are going to do a front loop only slip stitch in the very next one on the body. And you're going to want to put one of your stitch markers behind each arm here in that unused back loop, the one that's directly behind the slip stitch we just made, so it's easier to find in the next round. And you're going to want to do it for both arms. It just makes it a lot easier. So now we're going to do one more single crochet on the body here. And then we're going to make our second arm. So again, chain 3. The bulky bobble is going to be in the second chain from hook. And again, I make my bulky bobble stitches with 5 loops on the hook before you finish. Make sure to push your bobble towards you. And then single crochet in that last chain. And then again, we're going to do a front loop slip stitch in the next one on the body. Right here, and then again put your stitch marker in that back loop. Moving on, we're going to do 7 single crochet to finish up this round. Alright, so we're starting the next round. We are going to be doing 4 single crochet and then a decrease. And you're going to be making sure that you work into those back loops that we have marked here. So let me show you how I do that. Make sure that your arm is pushed outwards. And again, we're going to work in that unused back loop only stitch. And then you're going to work also in the stitch between the arms and then again in the back loop stitch. All right, the body is done. So as you can see, we're going to double check that our arms are in place before you cut your yarn. You may have to adjust them depending on your tension, but mine are in the front. So I went ahead and cut it. I've got my little tail here, and now I'm going to stuff my body. So you want to stuff it enough that it's got some shape, but not too much, because we are going to be crocheting this to the head, and if you get it too stuffed, it can be a little hard to close. All right, now we're moving on to the head. Alright, so in this round we're going to be creating the frills on each side of the head. So you're going to make one single crochet, but before you finish that one, we're going to go ahead and color change to our frill color, which for me is hibiscus. So I'm going to finish that first single crochet right there and make sure to tie your ends together for your color change. So now we're going to create our first point of the first frill. So in the front loop only, we're going to do a half double crochet, chain 2, another half double crochet in the same stitch, and then a slip stitch as well. And all that's in one stitch. And there's your first little point. So now we're going to move to the second one, half double crochet, chain 2, another half double crochet, and then a slip stitch back into that same stitch. There we go. And then the last one on this side, half double crochet, chain 2, and another half double crochet. And then for this slip stitch, we're going to pick up our color change so it's clean. So instead of picking up hibiscus like this, we are going to pick up our main body color. So go through and slip stitch like this. And now we're going to do 4 single crochet in our main body color here. And then on that 4th one, we're going to color change back to our frill color. And then we're going to make the other side of frill. So in the front loop, we're going to do a half double crochet, chain 2, half double crochet, and then a slip stitch, all in the front loop. That's one point. Moving on to the next one. And then the last one. Okay, and then when we do this slip stitch, we are going to finish off the contrast color for the frills. So here we go, let's cut that contrast color there, and then make sure to tie your ends on each side again to be really secure. Tuck your ends inside, and then in this round we're going to be working in the back loops of the frill that we made. So 3 single crochets behind the frills, sorry, my camera died, so I had to charge a little, so there's a weird cut here. But we're going to continue crocheting between them, and then again in these back loops, you're going to do 12 single crochet total. And now we are going to attach our body. So first of all, we're going to get the body and we're going to make sure that it's stuffed and ready to go. So you're going to make sure to put your tail end in there from the body that you cut off. I'm going to add just a little bit more stuffing here. And then with the feet and arms facing away from you, you're going to get your head as well and put it on the far side. So the body should be closest to you, the head should be farthest away from you. You're going to go in through the first 2 stitches of the body and into the next stitch of the head. Pull through and complete a single crochet. And then now you're going to go into the next 2 stitches of the body. Sorry, I kind of got out of frame here. But okay, here we go. So now through the next 2 stitches of the body and then through the next stitch of the head, single crochet. The next 2 of the body, the next one of the head. And then 1 more, so there'll be 5 total. Okay, so now we are going to double check that the head is centered on the body, and if it's not, you may need to adjust. Now we're going to place our eyes. I only have 6mm eyes, so I'm using them right now, but I would suggest 8mm or a little bit bigger. But you're going to put them between rounds 3 and 4 and try to get 5 visible stitches between them. You can of course change the eye placement to your liking. I'm just going to show you how I put mine in. I like to look at it and make sure it looks right, and then I'm going to put the washers on the back. All right, moving on. We are now going to be closing our head up here. So once we finish here, we've got our 8 stitches, so we're going to go ahead and cut that. And there should be just enough room for you to stuff your head at this point. So make sure to stuff it and shape it how you'd like. And then we are going to sew the head up. I like to run it out through the front loops of all the last 8 and then pull it tight. Just like so. We're gonna do this all around and then tie it and weave in your ends. All right, and that is it. Your little axolotl is done, and now we can move on to our bucket. So I'm going to be using seal for my bucket here. This is the really rough parfait chunky, so it looks kind of weird, but we're just going to go with it. So again, I'm going to use the chain 2 method just because using a magic ring with parfait chunky, it always rips on me here. So chain 2, and then I'm going to do my 8 single crochet here. And I'm going to make sure that I crochet over my starting tail so that it's just one less thing that I need to do for weaving in ends. So I'm just going to put it under my crochets as I'm going. And then I'm going to pull that tail out a little bit and go ahead and cut it so that it is out of my way. Alright, so for this round we're going to be working in the back loops, but if you have issues seeing the front loop, because we're going to need to work into that later, I suggest putting a stitch marker like I did so that I can find that round of front loops when we need to finish up our bucket. Alright, so now we are going to be attaching our lip over. You can sew this down or you can slip stitch like what I'm going to do. But first I'm going to find that marked front loop only stitch. I'm going to fold my lip outward and down where the last row lines up with that round of front loops. Alright, so we're going to make sure that we're going to be able to work through the front loop. So go down through the first front loop and up through the next stitch in the last row that we just completed. And you're going to slip stitch or sew. You can sew this around if you'd rather. There we go. And we're going to do this for 16 times or until you're halfway through the bucket. So keep going. So through that front loop, through the next stitch, slip stitch. So we're going to keep going like this until we get to the other half of the bucket right here. So it's about 16. And now we're going to attach the other side of the handle. So we're going to go up through the front loop, up through the next stitch, and then we're going to grab our handle and make sure it's not twisted and go into that, like the last stitch of that, yarn over and pull through and do a slip stitch here, and that will attach the other side of your handle, just like so. And then we're just going to continue. Once you get to your end here, you're going to make sure to give it a cut it, and then we're going to weave in that end. I like to give my handle a little stretch because I feel like it makes it look a little bit better. But now we're going to just weave that in. I like to weave it right in between the bucket and the lip so that it's in that little area there. And cut that off. And then that's it. That's our bucket and our little axolotl. And it just fits in there just so perfect with its little hands hanging out. I hope you love this. Thank you for watching.